being a musician yourself, you'll know. And even just being a fan of music and going to live venues, you'll know that the whole night or the whole performance per band is such a real thing. It has its own unique energy. It's got its own feel to it. Every single one of them is totally unique. And if people buy into that, if you can create a shared consciousness, if you can create something that on a basic energy, human level, animal level, then you've fucking won.
A hell of a drinker, not much of a boyfriend. In between jobs, it was kind of a trend. She was easy on the...
Hello, welcome to 3 Gigs, the podcast that tells the stories of 3 shows that have had a profound effect on a performer's life and career. Their very first show, their best show, and their worst show. I'm your host, Dominic Davy, and today my guest is Tom McFall, vocalist for the bar Stool Preachers.
In a heartbeat that felt like an age, he gave her courage to ask. A million heartbeats later, they sat inside some pub. She doesn't know why she likes him. She says it must be love. He picks himself up the mirror and dusts himself down again. Without a warning, he says, I don't know what you ever saw in me, darling.
Formed in Brighton in the United Kingdom in 2014, the bar Stool Preachers blend punk anthems and ska themes to make an infectious mix of music that's caught on a global level. They've hit the ground running behind their brand new album Grazie Governo, out now on Pirates Press Records. Now I'm sure it's annoying that I'm going to mention this, but punk fans would find it interesting to know that frontman Tom McFall has a working class punk rock pedigree. He's actually the son of Colin McFall, singer of the legendary Cocksparrer. However, you'd be making a mistake if you limited your vision of him to just being a legacy kid. Tom is a force of nature in his own right and a hell of a frontman. Just check out the Barstool Preachers videos, you'll see. He and his band are paying their dues and embrace the DIY ethic and has been forging a career of their own from the very start. And it's impressive what they've done. I was very grateful for our talk. He's a great guy and he had some great stories to share, starting with the Barstool Preachers' first show ever.
The first time the Barstool Preachers played a show, we were hit up by a guy called Ian, and we were really, really keen to impress Ian. He runs a booking agency called Hidden Talent. We're based in Brighton. We're way down on the south coast. Right. And there's a place way up on the north coast called Corby. And he said to us, look, guys, I can only afford to pay you, I think he actually said £7.50. I think it would have been less offensive had he just gone, I can't pay you for that gig. If you want it, you want it. If you don't, you don't. But he paid us £7.50, which of course we took. Right. So we loaded ourselves up in these 3 tiny battered old cars, which we had, and loaded all the way and drove for 6 hours to get to Corby. When we got there, the guy in Corby said, yeah, no worries, you've got a 15-minute set. So we were like, oh, we were told we had 45, but I guess 15 is, equifine from driving for 12 hours to come to this wonderful place in Corby. And we got there, and there was probably, there was more fans than we had minutes there for the headliner. And we drove all the way up to Corby, played an absolutely cracker of a show. It was like the best we could have ever hoped for with our first ever gig, and we were dressed like 6 different people from 6 different bands, and guys were going into fucking pre-choruses when it was supposed to be an outro. It was just beautifully wrong. But turns out the 2 other bands that were playing that night, 3 of the members actually went on to be like 3 of our best friends in our scene. They play for bands called Popes of Chilitown and Billy Manders, and we had no idea who these guys were at all, but ended up making really solid, fast friends with them. On the way home, we got 2 blowouts, and what else happened on the way home? 2 blowouts and a speeding ticket. So all in all, the weekend cost us, or the day cost us probably about £160 to play 15 minutes to 13 people the other side of the UK. That was our first ever show. And we all looked at each other on the way home and went, are you sure you want to do this with these random assortment of two-tone songs and some basic boy punk? You wanna start this? And that was the real thing that kind of provided us with a united front for the first ever time. It was Preachers versus the World as soon as that weekend happened.
That's amazing. So did you get the 7 pounds? Did did they actually?
Oh, fuck yeah!
You're like, I'm taking.
Fuck yeah.
For everyone listening, that's for like say the American audience, that's equivalent to about $8-9. So
yeah, at a push.
Yeah. So depending on the exchange rate, you're looking at about like roughly $8 to $10 total.
You can be damn sure we took that money. We were like, no, we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it out of protest. And then one of the wheels blew out. We're like, we should probably take the £7.50 right about now. Second wheel blew out. Okay, all right, we're taking it. We've got to earn a sandwich back at least out of all of this shit.
Oh man, the first weekend Tsunami Bomb ever played a show, my car threw a rod and exploded on the way and had to be towed back. It cost me a fortune. We drove out like 2-3 hours to play a show in this town called Modesto in California, in the middle of nowhere, and before we played our hometown the next day. It was supposed to be a warm-up, but then my car broke down. It ended up costing an absolute, it cost me thousands to fix it. I had to get a new engine.
I had to hold on to the back of the chair when you said that. That was everything that you don't want to happen to a musician. It's like, I have no contingency plan for any of this. This is real life exists still. All right, cool. That's going to be a lot of money I don't have.
It's so funny how it works out, too, because it's like, I honestly think that if I go to hell, if I am judged poorly and there is a hell and I go to it, it's going to be me for eternity trying to get to a gig as the van breaks down constantly in the middle of the desert. And I'm going to be waking up. I'll constantly go to sleep thinking the van's fine, waking up to terrible noises and my band going, I don't know what's wrong. We've been driving on it for a few minutes.
Oh, man. And there's something so haunting and poignant about the idea of the gig being one way and the van just being towed back the other way you came. It drives it home, man.
Yeah, it really does. I never would have thought of how often I've seen. I don't know. It's that's the part I don't miss of touring when I'm not on tour, and I miss a lot of things. But man, hearing your story, like I said, I had one right that matched it. I was like, oh man, I've been there. I know what it's like. You spend way more money than you could ever possibly get back, and then you go. And after all that, like sheer logic, like is just overwhelmingly showing you, like this is a terrible logic. Like there's no way the math is ever going to work out for you. And then you, in the face of all that overwhelming logic, you look out in there and go, that was a lot of fun. We should do that again. Let's keep going.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And there's certain things, you shed layers of yourself that you didn't know you needed. You crack a tooth and you're like, man, I never liked popcorn anyway. But you just keep going and going and going until you can't fucking go anymore. And then you're like, guys, can anybody give me a lift? Would that be okay? There's always the solidarity thing as well, man. People come out on social media, and not to belittle the campaign at all, because we completely support it, but there's almost a musician's Me Too. Whenever you see a band broken down on like social media, like, oh, bro, we've been there, man. We got your back. Where are you? Where can we come? Can we come get you? No, you're in fucking Corby as well? No, you can go fuck yourself. We're not going back to that place.
You can't get there. I'm sorry. You're on your own. No, there was a time when I was out of a band, like I wasn't playing, and I was just like so bummed. I was like, man, I miss it. And then my friend was like, yeah, we just went on tour. We did a big show with like, I forget who they said, like Pennywise and us played San Diego, and it was fucking awesome. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. He goes, yeah. I mean, the only bummer was like we blew out like 2 tires on the way, but like we'll totally pay Chris back, man. He covered it, and like we'll pay him back. And I was just like, no, you won't. You'll never pay him back. You lie. You're lying to yourself. You're a terrible person.
That's so good. That's a Hard Times article right there, man. Band promises to pay Chris back.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Chris is never getting that money back. Come on, man. I'll never forget.
There's always one as well. He's the one who still manages somehow to hold down a 3-day-a-week insurance job where he hates it. Everybody hates him. Nobody gets him. And at the end of it, his reward is to pay for all these fucking freeloader bandmates.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're listening, Alex, we love you.
There's always a Chris. There's always an Alex. There's always, and this episode is dedicated to them.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm with that wholeheartedly. We stand with you, Moops.
All right, so against overwhelming odds, you guys suddenly decide that this is indeed a good idea to do. So
It was, and we actually got. Sorry to interrupt you.
No,
We actually got signed by that booking agency maybe 3 weeks later after another gig for them. And it was kind of a test, you know. It was a baptism by fire for the first band, but we were telling him, "No, we're great. We've done, you know, this is fine. It's totally fine. We'll do it. Anything's great." So we took the 3 bullshit gigs in a row, and then he actually signed us to the agency, which made us tour with the Slackers for the first time, which then opened all of the doors that we have been waltzing through ever since.
That's fantastic.
So it was worth it. Like,
yeah,
if anyone's fucking listening to this, always take the £7.50 and always make the effort to go to gigs that seem completely pointless.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad. I mean, you know, you guys brought it. I mean, he must have sat there and went like, I don't know if this is ska or freeform jazz, but I'm into it. Like, we're just all changing to different parts, but we're kind of in the key. Let's do this.
That's it. Those guys are snarling enough to get away with it. Cool. All right. Yeah. They're in.
Amazing. All right, so you knew you guys were going to keep going. It totally ended up opening doors, and you kept going. That's amazing. That's incredibly hopeful for anyone listening who is like had a shit first show. So, what about when was a good moment where you're like, wow, this has really worked. This is one of my favorite shows, or a couple of favorite shows. Like, when was a moment that you were like, man, this is everything we wanted to work. Like, this is amazing.
This is hands down the hardest question of the 3 for me. We're at such a strange place in the band now that 1 week we'll play in front of 15,000 people in an arena, and then the next week we'll play in front of 40 people in, you know, the most sweaty, clapped out crap show club ever you can ever go to.
You just described my entire career, man. That's I have spent my life bouncing between those two extremes.
And it's such a weird. I mean, you'll know them, man. Like, it's such a weird experience because they both give you these incredible highs, and both provide like really unique like problems and things you have to overcome. And with the big stuff, you know, you have to go to the toilet 19 times before you go on stage, and you know, you're really trying to just keep your shit together. But the reward at the end of that is absolutely huge. Or when you find the sweet spot in front of that many people and you see, you know, that many people shouting back to you, that's pretty damn special. I guess because we tour so much and we play so much, it is hard. I know it's a fucking cop-out, and I'm sorry. No. It is hard to say there's one gig in particular. But I do remember one gig in particular where after the show, we were hanging out the back. It was in Weymouth, funnily enough, where our guitarist Gibbs is from. We were having a conversation with 2 ladies, and one of them was a nurse. And it was the first time we'd ever really spoken to people about the music. Our first album had only been out a couple of months, 3 months. And she said, I discovered you guys out of nowhere. And every morning before I go to work, at my 6 o'clock in the morning on the bus, on the way to my 12-hour shift of being a nurse, I listened to your album twice. And we were like, fucking hell. And her friend turned around and said, yeah, and I used to work in insurance before your song Looking Lost, and I quit my job after I heard your album. And we were like, that's kind of better than any, you know, live show. There's nothing like people shouting your words back to you. There's nothing more humbling or, you know, thrilling, especially as a lyricist and the main writer lyrically and melodically. It's there's nothing quite like having people sing your sentiments and your heartfelt lyrics back to you. But when someone says that they've made an impact on the life as a whole, that was pretty damn special.
Yeah, that's always incredible to finally hear that, like, somebody has taken what you have and it actually means something to them, and it's touched them and affected them. That's incredible. That's the more you can ever hope for, you know?
Absolutely, man. And the 6 working class boys, that was something that really, really struck home with us.
Mm-hmm. No, and I totally get that. I remember those moments myself when somebody is like, I even had recently somebody like argue with me about the meaning of a song. Like, I wasn't trying to argue with them. I was like, oh, it means anything that you want it to mean. No, it means this. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I wrote it, but, you know, fuck it. Like, it's whatever you want it to be. It's like, well, I'm telling you what it is. Good. And I'm like, okay. You know, it's like me not arguing, going, yeah, no, man, whatever you want. You know, and them going, no, it totally means my dead brother, you know, something or something like that. Like I was just like, okay,
so
yeah,
good.
but you whatever, yeah. But
If
like,
you want, man, like you can have it. It's you can surrogate parent this song for the rest of my life.
yeah, it's like, I didn't intend to write it about your puppy, but I mean, maybe that's what it was, like, whatever. So, but it's that is like any moment like that time you find out, like, wow, people actually care. All this work for 7 pounds has actually meant something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that is what keeps you kind of going through all the ups and downs and stuff. So, I don't know. And it is hard.
It definitely is, right? Like, I mean, you being a musician yourself, you'll know. And even just being a fan of music and going to live venues, you'll know that the whole night or the whole performance per band is such a real thing. It has its own unique energy. It's got its own feel to it. Every single one of them is totally unique. And if people buy into that, if you can create a shared consciousness, if you can create something that on a basic energy, human level, animal level, then you've fucking won. Like if that's what you're doing, you've won. And again, we're just ridiculously lucky. That seems to happen quite a lot.
That's fantastic. I mean, I don't know. I've always told people, it's like, everybody on the stage, every musician you meet, every, rock star or starting out, they're all the same as the people in the audience. We're all a bunch of music nerds. Just some of us had less life than others, and we focused on music so obsessively, and now this is what we're doing. Like, it's just, that's all we all.
Yeah,
we
you
all
were two
just
questionable decisions away from being a musician, man. All right, so just count yourself lucky you went to college. We didn't, and we're sharing a Corby fucking blowout car.
Exactly. I mean, what are you doing? But it's like, it's like we all just love it. That's really it. Like all of us just really love music, and that's why we're doing this. And the I don't know, the gift of knowing that other people care about music the way we've cared about other bands is just fucking awesome. So, okay, so if that...
You hit the nail on the head there, man. That's exactly what it is. If people get the same vibe off of us, or the same the heart fuzzies as we get and we got and all this sort of stuff, then that's it. That's exactly the reason we do it.
And honestly, when I started out, I don't know about you, but I never had these particular, like, dreams of being huge. Like, I didn't really have these, like, I mean, everybody has those moments of being a rock star, and I don't get me wrong, like, I had those moments, but, like, by the time I got around to starting bands, I was like, I just, I mean, it's so simple. It's like, I just want to be cool and make something I'm happy with. That's it. I just want to be proud of it and for people to like it. But, and so far,
that's rad.
It sounds...
It took me 2 albums to get to it.
Yeah, you're just like, all right, well, because I always tell people, like, you don't really know what level you're going to get to. It's like, you don't know. I have no idea. I mean, like, the future for you guys could be ridiculously epic. Like, for all we know, like, you're going to start playing those arenas all the time. And I wish that for you. But, like, but at the same time, you already know, if, no matter what happens with your band, you've already known that there are people out there who are going to carry your album with them as some of the albums that really mean something to them and define their lives. And it's like, what more could you hope for? Like, your art,
man.
Your art's going to survive past you. And I think that's...
And that's the real shit, And I think that you can tell the musicians that are real recognizes real. And you can tell the musicians that are in it for the right reasons. You can tell the musicians that are in it to further a scene or to better a community. And you can tell the musicians that only want to get big.
Right.
And you can see it straight off. Lifers just see it almost straight away. But I had a weird view of what it was and what it should be and what it could be. I kind of grew up in the scene and saw my dad performing so much when I was a kid that I always saw him on these stages and I was like, wow, that's the coolest. That's the thing that I'd love to do the most, I think. Mm-hmm. So I kind of had a different skew on it.
That's interesting, growing up in a family of musicians, because, like, my father was kind of like a roadie, and he played guitar and blues and stuff, and he showed me stuff, but he wasn't a performer. But, like, he was stoked when I went on and did stuff, but it was just sort of like, That was actually one of my favorite moments is being able to play in front of my dad at like the Fillmore in San Francisco and watch him be like stoked.
That's
that
cool,
was,
man.
That was like one of the things for me that was a crazy moment with having him come to a place that he's gone to a bunch of shows. Like,
I was going to say at the Fillmore as well, somewhere that's so steeped in your like local culture and history. That's
Yeah, exactly.
There must be everything ticked so many childhood boxes you didn't even know you need to tick. Like that's fucking amazing.
It was pretty epic. But all right, so like if those are the moments that keep you going, and those are the moments that have been amazing, and understandably like having people, remind you like how much your music means to them. What would be the story of one of the worst moments where you're like, oh Christ, come on?
We were playing at a working man's club in Stoke. Oh, fuck. And it was middle of winter. It was miserable. It was just... we're pretty good at putting a brave face on them. We are a real group of friends. So we're lucky that, someone's always going to pick you up. But we turned up to Stoke and... without going too far into sort of our political leanings and that sort of stuff, there were a lot of people in there that we would not necessarily associate with or condone their sort of beliefs. There was a lot of right-wing people there, and it was a bit of a weird one. You get the feeling as soon as you walk in, the hairs on the back of your neck go up, and you see certain T-shirts and certain tattoos and stuff, and you think, this is not really where we should be playing. But we were second on or something. And we went up and we got sort of 25 minutes into the 45-minute set. And we saw some guy, Zeke Highland, down the front of the show. And we all kind of looked at each other and thought, we can jump off stage or we can just, tell him off from stage and we can just see how it goes, or, the normal decision-making thing that you would do. And bear in mind, we didn't see it sort of straight away and it wasn't trying to raise it. It was just a very weird situation that we caught this thing happening. And as we were starting to play, we didn't know, but it started to blizzard outside. So our van was now a foot or half a foot of snow under in Stoke, and it's an old van. And we got off stage, packed down, and back in the van in a space of 2.5 minutes, maybe something like that, maybe 3.5 minutes, all of the gear. And they're like, no, boys, you can stay for a drink. And you can, no, it's fine. Thank you very much. We've got to go. What's the matter? Someone's nan's left the oven on and... yeah, my cat's got a dentist appointment. I've really, really got to fuck off. Like, but we thought you were great. Stay for beers. And that really, no, mate. Honestly, you and your mouth-breathing friends can all have this night. Thank you very much. We were someone else. We'll see you soon. Never. And we haven't been back to Stoke since.
I found my things exactly where they were always gonna be, in neat plastic bags on the street. I took this as a sign to move my feet. In my defense, I said, you was telling me
You've been listening to Tom McFall from the Bar Stool Preachers. Once again, we're happy to dedicate this episode of 3 Gigs to the unsung heroes of every band, the Chris's and the Alexes. God bless you crazy bastards, you keep us all going. You can find out more about the Barstool Preachers at their website, thebarstoolpreachers.com. Thank you so much for tuning in to 3 Gigs. Feel free to check out our website at 3gigspodcast.com to find extras and live footage of all of our guests, including the Barstool Preachers. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram just by searching 3 Gigs Podcast. And you can let us know what you think of the show and who you would like to see as a guest in the future. I'm listening. If you're enjoying this show, please take a moment to review and rate the show on the 3 Gigs Podcast page over at iTunes. It's a huge help in getting the words out, and we're all about getting the word out. Our theme music today is 8.6 Days, All the Broken Hearts, and we're closing with Choose My Friends, both of them from the Barstool Preachers, and their new album, Grazie Governo, out now on Pirates Press Records. Once again, thank you so much for listening to the show. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. My name is Dominic Davey. This has been 3 Gigs, and we will see you next time.
bars too many times. I've been strung out, battered, alone and outside my mind. But with my mates here by my side, I reckon I'll find me. Have you ever been done by love before? Have you ever wanted to say I choose my friends over you, I choose my friends over you, I choose my friends over you?